Welcome to the first ever edition of Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson. Glad to be with you, Mike Grimm, along with Justin Gaard and the head coach of the 7-0 Golden Gophers, Ben Johnson, as we get going on this Tuesday. And first of all, Guardsy, good to see you, and we're back in the saddle again, as they say.
Yeah, I kind of like the break from you personally. It was kind of a nice 2 weeks where we just kind of got to do our own thing, but I'm excited that it's basketball season. I'm excited we're turning the page, and I'm excited to talk to the new Gopher coach. I know that every Tuesday.
Yeah, a new Gopher coach that's 7-0. Coach Ben Johnson joins us now. Coach, how's it feel to be undefeated through your first 7 games as a head coach?
Feels good. I talk to our guys all the time about, you never want to lose the feeling. I think, the feeling you get from winning after you prepared and played hard and worked, it's like no other. That's where the addiction comes in. And I think these guys are really starting to see that and feel it. And so our goal is just to keep getting better every day and see how far we can take this thing.
Is there anything better than winning on the road too? Like going into the environments, obviously back-to-back road wins with Pitt and Mississippi State. Like that to me always seems like it's the best. When you go in, you fly in, you've got the meetings, it's just you against whoever, and you basically get to shut everybody up and just go into your locker room. That's got to be great.
Oh, there is nothing better. Nothing. I don't care what level you're at, what sport. There is nothing better than a road win, and just it is. It feels like because you're forced into like a team bonding environment, and to be able to you got to have all hands on deck, and everybody matters. Guys that play, guys that don't play, and to have it come together in a hostile environment, you can't beat it.
Yeah, with that, it kind of gives you the extra sense of accomplishment too, right? Because coaches know and players know, how hard it is to get those road wins, particularly as now you enter Big Ten play as well. But let's face it, that Mississippi State team's maybe an NCAA tournament team. Pitt has gone through some struggles, but that was the 15th loss in their history, non-conference, in that building, which is 20 years old. So that's not an easy place to play either. So the sense of accomplishment has to be good as well.
Oh, there's no question. If you look at their next game, they basically beat Virginia. I don't know if you guys saw the shot. The ball was like Kawhi Leonard, on the end of the rim and rolled in somehow. But that's a good team. Virginia's good. So Pitt's a good team and a good league. And same thing with Mississippi State. You can make an argument right now that the Big Ten and the SEC are the two best leagues in the country. And so to be able to go into there and, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Ben Howland, who's done it for a long time at a high level, who knows what he's doing. And you were there. They got some dudes. And like I said, I don't care where you play on the road. It's a different animal. So, all credit goes to our guys to be able to find a way to persevere and win a game.
You mentioned the bonding part of it on the road, but even at home, you guys have bonded, it seems, very, very quickly with all these new guys and all these new faces. So what do you think the key to that has been, where it does seem, I've heard you use the word selfless a lot. It's a selfless group that's about the right things, but all that has come together fairly quickly, it seems.
It has. I think so much of that is in recruiting. So much of it is, you obviously have to have a level of talent to play in the Big Ten and to play at Minnesota. So that kind of goes without saying. And then, you talk about your stylistically, how you want to play. You got to find pieces that fit that. But then at the end of the day, you have to have the right people in the room and the people that match, your culture, that match your program, personalities that can mesh. And so we really tried to dive in. And that was a huge talking point was, get to know the guys and make sure we have the right type of character guys that understand it and they're about the right stuff. And I think that's what we did a really good job of.
So how do you do it that quickly, like even in recruiting? Because we've talked before, high school recruiting, sometimes you're watching a kid when they're 7th, 8th, 9th grade, you're probably talking to them 9th and 10th grade. Transfer recruiting is a little different, right? It's name in the portal. Do we know the guy? Let's reach out to him. Let's see what's going on. How do you quickly, it's a microwave basically to heat it up quickly. So how were you able to, vet all sides to make sure that they were the right type of people that you wanted?
It is. You just, you got to work the phones a lot and call your references, call people but then you just have to have a intuition and a gut feeling. When you get on the phone with a kid and you start talking, you gotta get into those, deep conversations early so you can figure out, what is this guy made of? Does he vibe and does he jive with me and what I believe in and who I am? Is there going to be buying? Is there going to be any kickback? And I think that's just so important is that when you can't have surface level conversations. You gotta go with your gut and you gotta have a good feeling about, okay, who am I talking to on the phone? who am I FaceTiming with? And then again, do your homework and talk to the people that sometimes maybe others won't talk to get a true feeling of how kids are. And it's still a little bit of a crapshoot because you're right. It's like speed dating, but I think you just that's part of recruiting. Like you got to analyze, you got to have a gut feeling for, people, and you got to notice them and pay attention. And I think the more that you talk to them, the more they tell you who they are.
And then as this group has worked together, Guards, you mentioned bonding time. You got a little extra bonding time in Mississippi through some weather situations and everything else. And nobody wants to have that happen, but there can be some value to spending some time on the road. I know the hockey coaches always talk about, hey, we're looking to get on the road for a couple of days and, have a series. And so it turned into a longer weekend than you'd hope, but maybe there's some positive out of that too.
It did. The cool part is our guys didn't bat an eye. I've been on teams where it would have been the end of the world. Guys are bitching and mad, and our guys were just like, whatever, let's get out the cards. A couple of guys, we had like 4 or 5 guys doing homework for about 2 hours, 3 hours, meeting with different, people. They're always in groups. They're always talking. The morale was high. Obviously, it helps with a win. But I think, though, that's telling of our team that we just, if adversity hits or something happens that you don't like or is a little bit of an adjustment, you don't bitch about it. You just figure it out and you go with the punches and you try to make the best of it. And I think that was a prime example of what our team is about and the type of guys that we have. And does it always mean you're going to win every game? No. But it means you're going to give yourself a chance. And then more than that, it allows us to know when adversity hits. I think I have a pretty good response or feeling of how our guys are going to respond.
One real quick follow-up. I don't mean to be a cynic. What was the temperature in Starkville, Mississippi while you guys were stuck there? Anybody know that off the top of their head?
A little higher than here.
A little higher than Minnesota. Yeah. Hey, that's great. Adversity, togetherness, all of that. But I mean, it's 8 degrees on Sunday. It's like, hey, you could go there till Wednesday, I'm guessing, right?
Well, the only problem is now, I think our flight got messed up. We tried to get to a hotel about maybe 8:30, so it wasn't that late. It was a grind to find a hotel. I know we have a lot of bodies, but like to food, everything was shut down. Yeah. That was like at 8:30. It's like nothing, not even fast food. And so, there's a little bit of challenges everywhere you go.
All right.
And Guardsy, I'd add on that. It was, I will say this, it was nice. There was a legitimate thunderstorm that delayed the flight to get in to take us home. And I did take joy. I'm a guy that likes the start of a thunderstorm. You go out, you have that smell, it feels like a thunderstorm's on the way. So I'm standing outside the hotel, just taking that in because I know back home you guys are, having snow and everything. So it was kind of fun just to see a thunderstorm roll through in the middle of December.
What a romantic, Grimmer. What a romantic thought.
Right.
So, man, what a picture you paint of Starkville, Mississippi on a Sunday night.
There you go. And Coach Johnson's correct about the lack of food. My partner Spencer Tollickson was really I don't know what the deal was, but he was really needing some food. So we actually, and the snack place, of course, you got a travel party of whatever we got. The snacks at our hotel were wiped out, gone down at the little gift shop area. So there was about 3 hotels in the area. So Spencer and I at about 11 o'clock at night walked across the street to the other hotel and wiped out their snacks. So you have to do what you have to do when adversity hits.
There was a lot of vending machine eating at the airport. There was a lot of Doritos were high, Sour Patch Kids, a lot of like the good stuff,
So how did you pull that game out? It was a great start. And, people, I don't know if you know this, Coach, you probably don't, but the Vikings were in the middle of free fall in Detroit. And I said, hey, if you want a little bit of a diversion, the Gophers are up 2 touchdowns here on Mississippi State to start the game. You might want to flip it over. Great start, obviously. They make a run. As you mentioned, they've got dudes, and then you're able to close it out. And obviously Peyton had a big reason to do that. But just that game in general, what a story within that, what a game within a game there a couple of different times.
No, it really was. We had a a positive vibe the day before. I think at shoot around, we went in there and shot for about just 30 minutes. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, we're making a lot of shots right now. And it's funny, like they had the old Wilson basketball. I don't know if you remember. That's like every shooter. If you see that Wilson ball, your eyes light up, right? It's just
right?
a different. Oh yeah,
Cushy.
so
It's like
it's
a pillow.
cushy, and it's just like. And I just said, you know what? And I told our guys, I said, guys, we're gonna make at least 10 threes tonight. And it's like the shooting background, the rims were soft, like everything aligned. If you're a guy that can make shots, and if you're opposing coach, you're going, this isn't good. Like our arena's too friendly. It's too shooter friendly. But I just had that weird vibe, and early on we got some good looks. And, Luke started, I think he had the wing three, and it just started flowing. And I think, our morale, when you can get up with that type of lead and you're doing it in a way where it wasn't like luck shots. I mean, they were legit, open looks through our offense or guys just playing well. That builds confidence. And it's hard when you got a team that has that confidence, especially on the road. It kind of almost takes out the effect the crowd can have, because they know at least now they're going to be in it, and now it's just a matter of can you keep opening the gap. And I think our guys did a great job of, like, when it got tight, of not being tentative but staying aggressive, and continue to take shots. And obviously Peyton did a great job down the stretch. EJ made a couple tough ones. I mean, Eric Curry was really good. I mean, everybody who came in affected winning and impacted winning.
Guardsy, I think we're due for our first break. We have a lot to talk about. We'll continue to rehash the Mississippi State win. The other MSU, Michigan State, comes to town tomorrow night. There are some ticket deals. There are some tickets still available. Go to gophersports.com. Let's pack the barn for the Big Ten opener tomorrow night. Stay with us. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield. Welcome back. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson, Mike Grimm, and Justin Gaard, along with the head coach. Our show is presented in part by the University of Minnesota Bookstore. You can discover the area's largest selection of U of M and Golden Gopher apparel and novelties for fans of all ages. From the latest fashions to traditional favorites, the University of Minnesota Bookstore is your one-stop shop. Visit online as well. You can do that at bookstores.umn.edu. We want to let you know that throughout the season, we'll be giving away gift cards to the bookstore on the show, or as part of the show. You'll have to go on to gophersports.com. They'll have all the details. You can register to win. We'll get you, I think, next week, the official web page of that. So we want to thank the support of the bookstore, as they have supported us throughout the years, including the Gopher Football Weekly and Gopher Basketball Weekly shows. All right, Guardsy had gotten into, Coach, a little bit of you guys winning that game against Mississippi State down in Starkville, Mississippi. It was funny, for years I've said Starkville, Mississippi, and then I watched the local news the night before, and it's Starkville, I found out, in just seeing how they pronounce it. So another little sidebar there. That said, it was a wonderful game. As Guardsy mentioned, you guys had the 14-point lead early. It got cut to 2. It was down to 1 to start the third quarter. You got it back up to 14, and then they shrunk it to finally tie it. And how about Peyton Willis just wait, and he sticks the big shot to put you ahead, and then hits the 2 free throws to seal it.
Oh, he did, and that was huge. Peyton has really had a really impressive start to this season, playing with a ton of confidence. And he's got a good understanding of when to go and when not to go. And I really never second guess him. So when he came off that and pulled it, and then the one that he had late, kind of the walk-off, I think everybody thought it was going in, and I didn't doubt it for a second. He's just, like I said, he's done a great job. He was in a rhythm, in a flow. And honestly, couldn't be happy for him, because he's a guy that puts in so much time and so much effort into this game. That's good to see him be rewarded.
Well, and he's a guy that, his first time around here, and he's such a 2021 story, right? In that he started somewhere else, came to the U, went somewhere else. Now he's back. He's got the winding road. But I felt like he never really got a real crack the first time around here because of some injuries, and the team had some injuries as well. I looked it up this morning just to be sure, because I remember him scoring 21 points at the barn against Wisconsin when the Gophers ran the Badgers off the floor. That Badgers team would go on to win the Big Ten. Like, he's a Big Ten guard. Like, I know it's been a winding road for him to reestablish himself, but when you were able to get him back, I was thrilled, because I thought if this guy stays healthy, he's going to have a heck of a year. So what have you seen from him since he got here?
Yeah, no, exactly. I just really felt that, him knowing the league was important to me. He understood it. He understood this place. And I just thought we were going to give him an opportunity to play the point position, which I know he wanted, the opportunity to play with freedom. And I just feel like when you have talented players and they're able to to have that freedom, a guy like Peyton, they're smart. They figure out how to be successful, and he's really done that. I mean, he's got total command. He knows exactly what we want to do offensively, defensively. He's starting to talk more and communicate and really lead. So that part's been fun, exciting, and for his sake, we just want to hope that he continue to grow and get better and keep riding the wave.
And his partner in crime, so to speak, Eric Curry, of course, they've been buddies for a long time, back to AAU and maybe even before. You were mentioning the card game, that they were part of a card game with Andre Hollins and Ryan, the team trainer as well, in the airport. So it was fun. They were playing spades, I was told, which is a fun game, no doubt. But in terms of those guys being together so long, and what you're getting out of Eric Curry, I think is remarkable, given what he's been through in his career, given that he was going to retire as a player and help you maybe as a coach. And now he's playing 29 minutes a night. He got you double figures the other day, hit some big mid-range jumpers when they didn't want to come out and challenge. I mean, I think he's at 8 points and 6 or 7 rebounds a game. I mean, if you're getting that from him most nights, you're in pretty good shape, right?
Oh, home run. The other thing too that kind of goes unnoticed is he's battling defensively. He's doing a great job of being physical and guarding on the interior. We haven't had to double much, which, that was kind of a concern going into the year, was, okay, we're going to have a secondary, defense, because we're going to have to double from somewhere, to help these guys out. And he's been able to guard it one-on-one. We've been able to switch with him. It is really kind of incredible story, from when I got here to where he is now. And I really feel like his body is in the best it's been in years. I mean, he's got some juice, and now it's just, I'm glad he made that shot, because I've been on him about, if you can make the 12 to 10 foot jump shot, that changes our entire offense, because now the defense can't just sit in the paint. They got to honor it. And now we got 5 guys that can shoot it. And so to have that go in, to see him get double figures, help with that confidence. I think he made like a lefty hook. I don't know last time he's ever made, lefty hook, but all that stuff bodes well for our team and especially for EC with his confidence.
Well, Grimmer mentioned, that he was going to be a coach with you and help out. So when did it flip? I mean, I don't think we've talked specifically about it. Certainly a lot of people in the audience probably haven't heard. Like, when did it start to flip in his mind and then in your mind that, you know what, let's give this another shot? I know he mentioned something like, my body told me it was good. My body told me I could do it. So when did those conversations start happening? Or did he just not want to get the whiteboard? Was he sick of watching film as a coach and he said, I'm going to give this one more shot?
He found out that real life ain't that fun. You got to come in here. There's expectations like, yeah, dude, you need to be in the office early. You need to watch film. You need to go get this for a staff. You got to work. You got to do all the gritty stuff. But no, so he was in the office for probably 2 weeks, and he was doing office work, and he was on the floor watching workouts, and I think the bug kind of hit him. And I think, part of it too was, he always knew he didn't leave the way he wanted to. Right. And I think for any player, COVID was hard on us all, but, for a guy that had battled injuries and had been here for a long time, you want to leave the right way, with not a sour taste in your mouth, didn't get the fan experience, and statistically and for their record, didn't finish the way that I think everybody wanted to. So, he kind of came to me, because I saw him, it was funny. So we were doing a workout and he's getting more active, just kind of in the workout and kind of bouncing around and got a pep in his step. And so I sensed it, I sensed okay, this guy. And then when we got Peyton, it's just a matter of time. And so back in mind, I kind of knew. So I was trying to brace myself for how to handle it. And so he comes to me and he's like, hey, what do you think about me playing? And I just said, look, man, I said, this can't be, because, I'm not going to tell you to play. I'm going to be the opposite. I'm going to tell you not to play. And they part of me, because as a coach, obviously knowing him and knowing his story, I didn't want that on my mind. If he were to go out there and it not work for whatever reason, then I would have to live with that. So selfishly, I was like, dude, if this is what you want to do, it has to be 100% you. It's not going to be me, because I don't care either way. And so I said, the promise you have to make me is that you have to work out for about 2.5 weeks and work out hard. And then you come to me and let me know how your body feels after that. Because I said, right now, of course it feels good. You ain't done nothing. So I said, come to me after about 2 weeks and we'll talk about it. And so, he did, and he got in the gym and he was doing double days and he was getting right. And I told him, I said, you probably got to lose a little bit of weight just because of the body and the knees and all that. And he did. And he came back. He said, I'm ready to go. And I said, are you sure? You're positive? And he said, yeah, no, I want to do it. And so I said, well, I'm not going to tell you no. And, since then he's just been focused and driven, and the stuff he does, to prep his body for practices and games. He's handled it like a pro. And like I said, his body's responded. So, it's one of those good stories where you see a kid do all the right things. I mean, you talk about a guy that have every excuse in the book not to be successful from his story. You talk about a guy that's going to walk out of here with two degrees, never had an issue off the floor, never had an issue in this building with anybody he deals with. Everybody loves him, does everything the right way. To see a guy like that be rewarded, that's awesome.
Well, if anybody, and you and I have talked about this, if anybody deserves the right send-off, it's him. And I think people kind of forget how good he was for that tournament team his freshman year. I mean, a lot of those close games, when the Gophers went 8-0 in February, I think it was, he was a big reason for it. He wasn't playing 30 minutes, but he was playing probably 15 to 20, and he was making plays all over the place. And then before the next season, he blows out the ACL for the first time, and obviously was never really the same. If anybody deserves it, I think it's Eric Curry.
No, there's no question. And you even talk about, this is so when I recruited him, the first time I saw him, I said, you know what, this guy fits what we're trying to do. And then I found out that him and Amir kind of knew each other. So I'm like, all right, maybe this could work. Cause you never know. Kid out of Memphis, you're thinking, dude, no way. Guy had never been, north of that area. And I remember we get him on his first visit. We were the first to think he ended up taking all 5. Right. And no one takes all 5. I told him, I said, Eric, nobody takes all 5. Like, you stop. And so we were the first one. And he kind of committed on the visit, but he didn't. And I'm like, he's like, no, I'm coming. And I said, okay, well then let's make it official, dude. Like, what are we doing? Like, you saying you're coming, you're going on this visit, that means you're not coming to me. And so he had like Iowa State lined up, SMU, Arkansas, the whole deal. And this is the first time, this has never happened in my 18 years of coaching, where a kid literally stuck to his word and took these other visits, and we battled it and persevered, and he still ended up coming. Like, I've never seen that. And the last one was the hardest because his mom, and I love her, is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. Well, he goes to Arkansas. So he was at a prep school in Arkansas. So you have the in-state pressure. They're thinking we're not losing a kid to Minnesota. You got Jerry Jones, who's obviously a big alum. So she gets to meet Jerry Jones, at the game. So I'm thinking it's over. Like, it's done. Mom met Jerry Jones, and this is the woman that cries when they lose. We got no shot. And Eric's his own dude. And Eric is like, you know what? I don't care. Like, I'm coming. And so his whole story's been unique from the beginning. It's been unique. And I just think he's going to be whatever he decides to do, and I hope his coaching, that kid's going to be successful.
Well, Coach, are you ready for the stretch 4? It's a long tradition with Justin Gaard. Segment 3 of the Coach's Show is always 4 questions, sometimes basketball related, sometimes not. And Gaard's got his stretch 4 prepped. He's been waiting all off season to unleash these on you, and we'll do that when we come back. Stay with us. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield. Welcome back to Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson. Grimm and Gaard with you, along with the head coach, Ben Johnson. And we've been waiting for a long time here for the stretch 4. Gaard, you've been piecing this together from the day Ben Johnson got hired. And now we're ready for the first one in Ben's first show.
Yeah, well, this shows you a little bit about my work ethic, Ben. It devolved the last few years from the stretch 4 to the contested 2s, long contested 2s, because I really couldn't come up with 4 questions. So we'll see which way this goes as the season goes along. We'll ease you in though. We'll keep it mostly to basketball today. Michigan State's the opponent, obviously tomorrow night at Williams Arena. You've known Tom Izzo for a long time. He recruited you when you were at De La Salle. So take me back to Tom Izzo as a recruiter back when you were in high school. And this is, kind of early on in his tenure. I would guess they hadn't won the national championship. They'd probably been to one Final Four maybe at that point, but it hadn't really gotten to where it got. So what was it like just kind of being recruited by a younger Tom Izzo?
Yeah, no, when he got the job, I think he was mid-30s. So I think when he started recruiting, he was like 36, 37. And they won the national title my freshman year. So in 99, I think 99, 2000 year, they won it. So yeah, I got to know him pre-national title. Tom Crean was the assistant on the staff at the time.
Yep.
But he was, at that point, energy was ridiculous. The same guy. I mean, he hasn't changed at all. But bleeds, you could just knew from the start. I mean, bleeds Michigan State, bleeds that university. And so to see him still doing it, obviously is cool. It's a little, we've gone through almost every stage, so he recruited me, competed against him. Actually, when I transferred from Northwestern, Brian Gregory, who recruited me to Northwestern, was on the staff at Michigan State then. So they talked me into driving to East Lansing, and I sat down with those guys for about a day and a half right before I took my Minnesota visit, because they were trying to recruit me again. And then I've always watched his program. I think he's kind of the blueprint of how some of the things that we want to do, he's done. So now to be able to compete against him and go against his team and be able to measure ourselves will be fun tomorrow.
And what were they selling at that point, if you remember? Because now, obviously, and not to give the Michigan State recruiting pitch, that's not going to be helpful for you in any way, shape, or form, right? But we kind of know what Michigan State is now. Like back then, they weren't really like that. And I remember '97 when they came through here with the Gophers Big Ten title team. Mateen Cleaves, I think, was a freshman, and obviously he was kind of the one that changed that whole thing for them, along with Morris Peterson and everybody in that first team. But what are they selling at that point? What's a young Tom Izzo selling, to a young Ben Johnson at that point?
Yeah, they were selling, their development piece, which they always do, which we all do. I think that was the big thing, and how they, as a team, wanted to build it. I think he was selling, a young coach, first timer, being able to grow with him. A lot of the same stuff that I'm selling is just like, your first couple of classes. Those are the ones that a coach really remembers because they get you off the ground. Like right now, he's been doing it so long. It's like, you're going to have good players and you're going to have relationships, but there's no way they're as impactful as the ones that he had, the Mateen Cleaves that got him going. And so again, it's a lot of the same stuff that I'm selling, that the new energy is going to do it, and that you can be, on the ground floor of something that, hopefully will develop and become special. And the development piece that we're going to work with guys every day to get them better.
And that's where I wanted to go next, is to relate it to you, because I know when you were thinking about this job, and I know part of what you tried to sell and successfully did was it can be done this way with a guy, an Upper Peninsula guy at Michigan, goes to Northern Michigan. He is Michigan State. Matt Painter, he is Purdue. Ben Johnson, I want to be Minnesota's dude, right? So how much of a model did you look at those guys when you were kind of putting together your plan for this program?
A lot. I think, as you guys know, the Big Ten is different, and Minnesota is a different place. And you got to understand that, I think, if you want to have long-term success. And so I definitely look at, the Purdue blueprint. You look at Juwan Howard now, you work at, Tom Izzo, kind of the two older school guys that there's a reason why they've been able to do it for a long time, is that they have a plan and they don't divert from that plan, and they stick to it recruiting wise. They stick to it scheme wise. They stick to it culturally. And so for me, those guys checked a lot of boxes. We want to be at the level one day that a Purdue is, where you're winning Big Ten titles and you're a number one seed in the tournament. You're a number one overall team in the country. You're getting players that, it's fun brand of basketball. That to me was important. And it was important for me to share that to, Mark, that there is a plan in place, that there is a method to this. If you're going to be successful and you do it your own way, but you have these ingredients, this is how it gets done. And we're going to stay the course, and we're going to work hard every day to achieve that.
I know that coaches shouldn't live on social media. We've talked about that a lot over the years on this show, specifically during the stretch four. Sometimes it would turn into a diatribe on social media, most weeks actually. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I'm curious if you have picked up on it, is that people really like the way that your team plays. They really like, this is an easy team to pull for, it seems like. Have you noticed that? And just, because you pop in and out on Twitter every once in a while to kind of take the temperature and see what's going on. And you certainly have this week as we try to pack the barn tomorrow night. But I have to imagine you're really happy with the response that the public has given to your team, because it seems like they're embodying a lot of the things that you said from day one.
Yeah, no, I think that was important to me. You want to have enjoyable basketball. I talk to our guys a lot about, people spend their hard-earned money to come to a game and watch you play. And people take time out of their day. There's a lot of things that families could be doing on a Wednesday, on a Saturday, on a Sunday. And when they decide to come to the barn and watch you play, they want to see good basketball. And that's what it's about. And I want to coach good basketball. We want to teach good basketball. And so to get guys to believe in that and believe in our system and what we're doing and, our version of, quote unquote, playing the right way and playing good basketball, that is satisfying to a coach. And you want your fan base to see what you're trying to do. And to me, that was more important than anything. Was I just wanted people to understand, like, okay, there is a flip in what's going on there, and that it is a little bit different, and that you can still have success doing it this way, and that it can be enjoyable to watch. It can be a fun team to follow. It can be, pleasing to the eye, so to speak, and have success doing it. So to hear people say that, obviously it's good. We also know that it's still day to day. We're about to hit a grind, and through ups and downs, you got to stay with your process and stick with what you're doing and stay true to your guns. But it's always good when people enjoy watching you and looking forward to your team playing.
We've talked a lot about the Williams Arena atmosphere when it's rolling, and you and I are roughly the same age. And so we certainly remember it in the 90s. And then there's the generation that remembers it in the 80s as well. I'm curious, in the Stretch 4 segment, give me like your quintessential barn game or like barn moment where you remember a game, you remember a play. It could be growing up, watching, could be playing, could be while you were here before. Are there a couple off the top of your head where you're like, okay, that's the Williams Arena? Like you're on your deathbed 50 years from now and you think Williams Arena, what comes to your mind?
Well, first thing is I hope, as a player, we definitely had some good ones. There were definitely some, but I hope the best is yet to come. For part of that question, that would be pretty cool. But no, as a player, I remember, there was a Michigan State game. There was a Purdue game at home. I remember growing up. I think my first real experience was we played Cincinnati.
I was there. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when they had some dudes, and Huggins was the coach.
Yep.
Danny Fortson, I believe, was still there, and Melvin Levitt for Cincinnati. It was, two top 25 programs. And that was when I walked in there and it was like obstructive view. People were there and the student section was packed and just it vibrated. And that was kind of like whoa, this is different. So it matters, I think our fan base knows that. We got to give them a reason to come out and support. But when they do, I just want them to know that they do matter and it helps win. And teams know that. Like I know Izzo's talking to his newcomers and freshmen about, this is your first Big Ten road game. It's going to be different. Like you got the elevated floor, you got the older building, you got the sound that stays, you got crazy fans. Like he is definitely on their guys about you haven't experienced anything until this. Like the Big Ten is different. And so I hope our fans know that there is a bar, there is a standard, especially within the league, that these coaches know when it's rocking in there, it's a tough place to play.
Well, and I've seen it with football just the last few years. And that's what I've tried to tell people is, it's my 11th year being on the sidelines. It's been nothing. The Wisconsin game was off the charts. And that was, I'm not going to say out of nowhere, but they didn't have, they're going for the axe. It's a rivalry game, but the Big Ten West was no longer in play that day. Same thing in Tampa. I think people, I thought, and this is maybe my negativity, Ben, I'm like, this would be a nice trip, go down to Florida, have fun. Like 20,000 fans completely disagreed with me. They said, no, we're here to beat Auburn and we're going to do what we want. We're going to help out with that. And so I think football is getting there, and I think basketball can be the same thing. And I don't work for the university in terms of selling tickets, but for $25, 8:00, Michigan State, Izzo in the building, like, what the hell else do we want, people? Like, get there, buy the tickets. There's not a bad seat. I've sat in all of them, and the fans do make a difference. I don't think people understand that. Crowds make a difference. We all go to Big Ten venues all over the country, And I've seen it with football firsthand. I grew up with it in basketball. And tomorrow night, like, I'm not going to say you show up, we guarantee victory. I'm not that stupid, but it does make an impact. And I hope people understand that. And there's my stump speech. I'm done.
No, that was the greatest promo ever right there. I like that. No, it's so true. It's so hard to win on the road. You have to be able to rely on a home court advantage, and it 100% matters. And again, this building, there is some magic still left in it, and I want people to believe that, and I want people to know that they are definitely a part of winning. That it's not just about the players; like, they can impact it with just their energy, with their turnout. And it's a hostile environment, and that's what we got to get back to that. If people want to win, like I know they do, this is all part of it, and I want them to feel like it's part of it and that they're part of it, because they are, and to try to make it an experience, to make it a party, to make it back to, like, hopefully during a weekday, families get excited to go to a Gopher basketball game. That it is a different experience than going to a Vikings game or Timberwolves or the Twins or a soccer game, and I want people to be able to experience that, and I think it's cool. I've been, whether it's I'm in the community. Friends that I know that now are starting to have young kids. It's kind of cool because you're seeing that generation. They want their kid to be able to experience it at a young age. And that's where you really got to try to grow it now. It's like, okay, we got a new generation of fans coming up that are, around my age that now have kids that can understand it. And they want their kids to have an experience of going to Williams Arena. Well, there's no better thing than that experience to be a good one. And then those kids want to come back. And then that's how you develop a drawing. I mean, you look at, like, Purdue, for example. I'm watching the other night. I mean, that's where you want to get it to. With that place, it doesn't matter. Rain, snow, hurricane, whatever. It's packed. You got no chance. And our place can be like that.
Coach, I was going to ask you for your pitch, but I don't have to now that Gaardsy made that pitch. That was a great pitch.
I'll tell you, there's going to be someone in the crowd tomorrow night, my wife, who couldn't care less about sports or anything. And I convinced her, I go, look, it's Michigan State. Gophers are undefeated. It's Ben Johnson's first year. Like, we got to show up here. Like, we got it. And she's like, okay, we'll get a babysitter. Leave me alone. Like, we don't have to talk, do we?
That's
the game. So Jen Gaard's locked in.
You are locked in. That, and I can feel the juice right now. Like, you get me excited. Yeah. That's the type of commitment we got to have, man. Because, like I said, if we got that, it will be sooner than later that we can be back the way we all want it to be.
Yeah, and before we take our break get to our final segment, I'd also add, as Gaardsy said, there's not a bad seat in the house. Here's the thing: the $25 seats. Somebody might say, that's not going to be a great seat. I'm telling you what, two things. One, that upper deck end zone at the barn gives you, that's probably the $25 seat. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that's
they're in there.
That one is a great view of the floor.
Yeah, section 201, right? Where we have
great view. Secondly, secondly, when those end zone upper decks are full, that the whole barn changes. It just is a different sound. It's to a new level. So the $25 seats, I mean, that's the key to the whole thing. It changes the whole complexion. If they can consistently fill that upper deck end zone, man, it's a whole different building.
And the crazy thing is, as a player, I used to always remember you would be out there in warm-ups around 17 to 20 minutes. And you guys remember Kevin Burleson. We used to always talk about, like, the difference. So you'd be out there, 17-minute mark, you're doing your layups, you're looking around, you're like, you know what, decent crowd. It's, solid. You always look in the corners, see if the corners were filled. If the corners were filled early, you knew it was going to be crazy. You kind of be like, and then you go down and you do your team meeting. And then you'd make that walk up like 3 minutes before tip. And it was like night and day. You'd be like, dang, like, it filled up. And it was always that, like, expectation of, all right, man, when we walk up those steps, is it going to be different? And those days when it's different, and like you said, those corners are filled, it's a whole different vibe.
No question. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back. We'll get a little scouting report on Tom Izzo's Michigan State Spartans and a little bit more. Stay with us. It's Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield. Welcome back. It's our final segment, Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson. Big Ten opener tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Spencer and I will take air at 7:30, Minnesota and Michigan State. And Coach Ben Johnson, let's hear a little bit about the Spartans. What can we expect to see from Tom Izzo's group tomorrow night?
Yeah, obviously they're a very talented team. A team that has great depth, does obviously a great job. Transition wise, I think that's the one separator with them is I told our guys yesterday, you're going to have to be in transition defense mode for 40 minutes because they probably do the best job in the country of pushing it on makes. And I think that's kind of the separator with them is that their push on makes is probably better than on misses because most teams, you make a shot or a layup, you kind of celebrate a little bit or you don't get back with the urgency you need. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're flying it up the floor. And so, transition defense will be huge. Obviously, doing our job on the backboards will be huge. But just the physicality piece. I mean, this is going to be different. I told guys, I said that when you chase a down screen, it's going to feel a little different. When you come off a ball screen, that defense is going to be there. There's going to be a presence. It's going to feel a little different. And so we're going to have to up our level of intensity, our level of physicality to match theirs. And just be really, really tuned in with laser focus from start to finish.
All right. Well, very good. It's going to be a fun night tomorrow night. No question about it. Again, the tip-off at 8 o'clock, Minnesota and Michigan State. The Spartans come in ranked 20th. It's Ben Johnson's first game as a Big Ten head basketball coach in conference. We'll see you all three, or both of you guys, and I'll be there as well at the barn tomorrow night.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate it.
All right, for Justin Gaard and the head coach, Ben Johnson, this is Mike Grimm. This has been Gopher Basketball Weekly with Ben Johnson from Learfield.